It was April of 1945 on Okinawa Island. The 77th Division had set up camp at the base of the 400-foot-tall Maeda Escarpment. This escarpment consisted of a sharp, steep slope of boulders and uneven ground, with the final 35 feet being a completely vertical climb. In certain areas, the cliff even protruded outwards. The top of the escarpment extended approximately 75 yards in width before declining along its backside. Looking upwards at the ridge, 26-year-old medic Desmond Doss stared at the seemingly insurmountable challenge that awaited them. The 77th had received orders to seize the hill, no matter the cost. However, Desmond would not discharge a single bullet in the impending conflict. As a man of deep faith, Desmond had enlisted in the Army with the unwavering belief that killing was forbidden. Desmond had already been nominated for awards due to his remarkable courage amidst heavy enemy fire in both Guam and Leyte. In the Pacific Theater, medics were targeted even more intensely than regular soldiers. Despite initial mistreatment and mockery for his refusal to carry a weapon, Desmond had earned the respect and admiration of his comrades through his steadfast commitment to saving every wounded soldier, regardless of the danger to himself. The Japanese forces were entrenched throughout the hill, utilizing a complex system of interconnected caves and tunnels, some of which were multi-tiered and accessible via ladders deep within the hillside. Lieutenant Guanto tasked Doss and two others with attaching cargo nets and ladders to the cliff's vertical face. Under the cloak of darkness, the three men ventured out, scaled the cliff, and securely fastened the equipment to the coral rocks at the Maeda Escarpment's peak. Upon their return, the lieutenant commended them, saying, "Well done, men. This will certainly make ascending and descending much easier and, hopefully, safer." The following morning, on what would become known as Miracle Day, the lieutenant addressed Company B, stating, "The cargo nets are in place, allowing us to reach the summit more easily. Give it your best, men." Desmond approached the men quickly, suggesting they pray before advancing, intending for each man to pray individually. Instead, the lieutenant announced, "Everyone gather around. Doss wants to lead us in prayer." Desmond then offered a prayer. Companies A and B commenced their assault on the Maeda Escarpment. Upon reaching the summit, Company A was immediately suppressed by enemy fire, suffering numerous casualties. Company B then received orders to capture the hill independently. Advancing from one fortified position to the next, they successfully neutralized 9 pillboxes that day, returning without any fatalities and only one injury. Considering the circumstances, this was an astonishing achievement. Headquarters sought to understand how this had been accomplished. Company B relayed the message. Doss prayed. The Signal Corps dispatched a photographer to capture Doss's image from the escarpment's summit. Over the ensuing days, the battle continued, with the deeply entrenched Japanese fiercely defending the hill, inflicting heavy losses on the American forces. On May 5th, Captain Vernon approached Doss. As a Seventh-day Adventist, Doss observed the Sabbath on that day. Therefore, the captain inquired, "Doss, would you mind going up onto the escarpment today? You're our only remaining medic, and we desperately need you." Doss asked to complete his reading, to which the captain responded, "We'll wait for you." Once he was prepared, the 155 remaining members of Company B ascended the cliff. However, the operation did not unfold as planned. When the men hurled satchel charges at the Japanese emplacements, the enemy disarmed the fuses before the charges could detonate. The men then proceeded to throw gasoline, followed by a grenade. Instantly, a massive explosion erupted as a Japanese ammunition depot deep within the hill detonated. Like enraged hornets, the remaining Japanese defenders interpreted this as a signal to intensify their efforts, emerging from every position simultaneously. Unleashing a barrage of fire upon the Americans, the U.S. forces were decimated, and the order to retreat was issued as they were forced from the ridge. While tending to the wounded, Doss realized he was alone on the summit, with the last of his capable comrades scrambling down the nets. Doss began assisting a wounded soldier who was severely injured. Desmond pulled him toward the cliff's edge, located a rope, secured him onto a stretcher, and lowered him to the ground. This process was time-consuming and physically demanding. Upon reaching the base of the cargo nets, 35 feet below, Desmond called out, "Get him to the aid station immediately!" The soldiers followed his instructions. At this point, realizing how long it was taking and needing to discover a quicker solution, he recalled the bowline knot. He secured another injured man and created a bowline. After positioning the man's legs between the loops, he doubled the rope and fastened it around the man's chest. He observed a shattered tree stump and used the rope to secure it around, providing him with leverage. As Desmond lowered the next man to the astonished soldiers below, he knew what he had to do. Praying, "Lord, help me rescue one more," he resumed his work. Evading enemy fire, he seized the wounded, dragged them to the edge, lowered them down, and prayed, "Lord, help me rescue one more." This continued for 5 hours. In total, he rescued over 75 men on the escarpment, which became known as Hacksaw Ridge. Once all the injured had been evacuated, Doss descended, unharmed. 2 weeks later, while accompanying soldiers on a nighttime mission into Japanese territory, Desmond was struck by a grenade, causing damage to his leg. He and another soldier, who had been wounded in the shoulder, crawled towards U.S.-held territory, where they dug a shallow trench to wait out the night. As day broke, the stretcher-bearers arrived to collect the wounded. After loading Desmond onto a stretcher, they began their journey to the aid station. Along the way, they encountered a soldier with a head injury. Recognizing that the soldier's condition was more critical, Doss instructed the medics to stop, rolled off the stretcher, and directed them to transport the more severely injured man. Desmond, accompanied by another wounded soldier named Brooks, attempted to crawl and walk back. At that moment, an enemy sniper shot him in the arm. Doss then requested Brooks' rifle. Surprised, since Desmond had never handled a rifle before, Brooks handed it over. Using the rifle as a splint, he stabilized his arm and nearly reached the medical station before losing consciousness. He awoke in the hospital following surgery to remove 17 pieces of shrapnel. The military estimated that Doss had rescued more than 100 men on that extraordinary day on Hacksaw Ridge. Doss modestly countered, "It couldn't have been more than 50. The Medal of Honor citation that he received for his actions stated that he saved 75. During the award ceremony on the White House lawn, President Truman presented the medal to Corporal Desmond Doss, holding his hand throughout the reading of the citation. He said to Doss, "I'm proud of you. You truly deserve this. I consider this a greater honor than being president.